Fair enough. You good?
All right, questions for Burke?
What's up?
Man, how are you feeling about the way the guys, especially the secondary, play so far?
Yeah, it's been, I would say the whole group's just been working awesome. It's been fun to be out here. Those guys have been practicing with intent. And, like the communication, we put a lot on those guys to set coverages and communicating things. So it's been really cool to see them really kind of taking ownership of that part of things and trying to get the whole coverage element on board and in line. So it's been good to see those guys.
What's been your impression?
Oh, is that a first? You gave up a question?
What do you see from him toe-to-toe? See him get a lot of reps.
Yeah.
What impression most of?
Yeah, again, I think all those guys in that room, the linebacker room's been really cool to see the competition in there. And Henry's been a guy that, again, similar like we just talked about the secondary guys. Our linebackers set everything up front in terms of directional calls, setting the line, all those things. And he's a kid that practices with a purpose. He's really coachable. I don't think he makes a lot of carryover mistakes. If you see something, he correct it. He kind of gets it done the next day. We had a really cool moment in practice yesterday where in the first period he had a play that he was a little bit short on, and we kind of got on him a little bit and got back and forth, and he literally got the same play the second half of practice and nailed it. So I just see that from him where he's really taking the coaching and sort of applying it to the field. Every time he makes a mistake, he's kind of correcting it and moving on. So it's been cool to see that progress from him.
With you and Bobby in your first year here, how have y'all approached teaching your schemes? And are there times day to day where you all try to help each other in practice? How do y'all do that?
Yeah, always. There's always a back and forth of what they're trying to get accomplished on offense and what we're trying to put in on defense and how it matches up. And there's times, within periods where we'll ask hey, can you run this coverage or can you run this play, or hey, we need to see this, and because it's all about getting the team better, and working together. Again, it's hard. Sometimes you're out here and everyone's you're competing and everyone wants to make the play, but I always joke that's the duality of the coaching, especially Nico. All right, we give up a big play on offense, well, we're pissed, but it's at some levels it's good for those guys making plays. So that duality of the back and forth, and sometimes there's points where Bobby and I and Miko will try to script things or just put guys in certain positions to see how they react. So it's been cool, really just, again, the whole group coming together like that, for sure.
And even if if he gets out of position initially, what do you see from his recovery and hustle on the screens today?
Yeah, the screens he's got a really good feel for. Actually, he just kind of has a pretty quick feel on those. But we ask our whole D line to turn and run to the ball. That's sort of a calling card of what we ask those guys to do, and so he's embraced that along with most of the group. You see those guys come out the stack. If we're going to be an attack front like we've talked about and have guys coming off the rock and trying to rush, people are going to throw screens to slow us down. So those guys have to then turn and put the foot in the ground and come out and sort of make people pay for trying to throw screens on us. So it's kind of just part of the philosophy of how we play. We know that's one way teams try to slow us down. For all those guys to embrace, it's hot out here, right? It's hot. So those guys to embrace coming out the stack when we're getting those screens, it's been good to see.
One of the things that Will Anderson mentioned was kind of the comfort he feels being back in that full-time DN role. Just what are some of the natural abilities you see from him that kind of fit that position?
Yeah, I don't like to speak on other people's schemes. I think just for us, what we ask, our ends to do in terms of playing in space. So we don't ask him to be sort of inside a lot where he played a little bit more in college at times. I think it just frees some of those guys up to use their athletic ability, him being one of them. So I think he's just a natural fit for the way we ask those guys to play. So he's probably feeling that comfort there. I'm sorry, say again. Oh, Dio? I'm sorry. I'm on nicknames, man. I can't remember full names sometimes. He's awesome, man. He's awesome. He's a great kid to work with. He's a big, tall body. Again, another guy that's just we're asking to do the techniques that we're asking those guys to play up front. But man, he's always got a smile on his face, and I'm a big soccer fan, so I can have someone to talk some soccer with too. There.
His range in this because he is sort of a stretch guy. We are allowed him to do different things because he does have that stretch, sort of like a big power forward or something.
Yeah, if we're playing hoops, he's first round pick. I don't. We haven't gotten into a ton of trying to move guys around a lot in that sense yet, just because, again, we want those guys to really like embrace the techniques that we're asking those guys to play and just like repetition. So we haven't done a ton of flexing a lot of guys too much yet, but those guys that show that skill set, that maybe are a little bit bigger ends or have some length that can maybe do some things, that'll be something we'll probably get to a little bit more later in camp.
Will Anderson's probably the most prominent name in this draft class, but Dylan Ford's another guy who's working on the defensive line. How do you see his improvements from his position?
Yeah, he's similar, I would say, in the sense of how he played in college, and then just transitioning to how we're asking him to play, like more of an edge, because he had some of those moments where he was playing a little bit inside and stuff. So I would say like he's been working hard too. The biggest thing we've asked Dylan is just like literally almost shut everything else out and just get off the ball. Like it's just hard for all these guys when you come from different systems where you're reading blocks or just doing different things, and now we're saying like you don't do that, get off. You know what I mean? So I would say his growth's come in like losing some of those habits that he's had from playing other schemes and just really launching and getting off. He's another, a bigger, stronger kid that we hope can like help set edges for us and do those sort of things as we move forward. So he's been working really hard to get to that point.
Is that kind of something that you're trying to preach right now? Just go ahead and block out the mind, just work upfield and try and get them. If it basically adjusted to this system.
Yeah. I mean, that's everything we're trying to do is lay the foundation of our techniques. And I'm sure you guys, obviously heard Miko talk a lot. Like that's all we're trying to do is get back to our fundamentals, make sure our techniques, like that's your foundation. So when we get into the season and crazy stuff's happening and bullets are flying, like you have a foundation to go back to say, I know what, worst case scenario, if I'm on my line, I put my hand down, I get off like I'm supposed to get off, something good's going to happen. So that's kind of our starting point for everything.
Coach, since you guys put the staff together, I mean, it's been talked about who's going to call the defensive plays. Last week, D'Amico said it was going to be him. For the foreseeable future, we'll see how it goes. How did you guys arrive at that decision? Can you take us through that process?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, I feel it's been very collaborative with me and Meek and through this whole time. And I've never been a head coach, so I can't speak to some of that. But I think, early on in the process, he felt he had to like commit some of his attention to other parts of getting this program going and the team and those sort of things. And then as we were coming back into this, he has a very specific vision for how he wants the defense to play, and I think he felt, he had some more time to dedicate to that part of it. So there's a lot of back and forth. I try to stay next to him, if he needs something from me, and so yeah, it's really just again it's been the part of the conversation all along. I know I've been getting the same question for 6 months now or whatever, but again, I think when he feels that he has the time to dedicate to this, and obviously this is where he made his money and his calling card, and he's really good at it. So I think he wants to make sure that the foundation of this defense is what he wants it to be. And so I would say towards minicamp at the end of OTAs, he started getting a little more hands-on again when he was kind of freed up from some of his other duties. And I think, again, it's going to be a new challenge as we go into the season, again, in terms of what other sort of things come up to restrict him. And, again, I'm just here to try to help him any way he needs me. So
Last two guys, how much did you know Bobby Slug before you got here?
0.
What have you noticed about him since?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's got a really good way about him, man. He really is. I would say the biggest thing I've noticed, everyone, first-time coordinator and calling it, he is really unfazed. He's got a really steady hand. He gets pissed sometimes, not saying that, but nothing phases him. He's really composed and in control, and obviously, working with some young quarterbacks and trying to develop those guys, he's just got a really good way, a really good approach with that. I've been impressed with just sort of his composure and everything.
Cole?
Matt, is there anybody that you saw from OTAs and minicamp that maybe has overexceeded expectations?
Oh.
Camp so far?
I have high expectations for everyone.
Just anybody?
No, man. I always hate to single guys out in those general questions just because everyone's been out here working hard. I've been very impressed with the progress the groups have made, literally. Like I said, D-line, what we're asking them to do from a aiming point and attack standpoint. Those linebackers, it's a lot we put on those guys. And obviously, D'Amico's got a history with guys that he's spent a lot of time with in the linebacker room. So those guys embracing that and the competition level there. And then the secondary communication, and I know Meek's talked about it, the way those guys are attacking the ball and getting after. We had a couple more picks today and stuff. So it just, I think I've been impressed with all the groups. And I'll say this, just I know the last couple seasons here have been up and down and whatnot, but I don't think the effort or the intent ever wavered with these guys. And I think you see that baseline of how these guys, they all play hard, they all work to get better at their craft. So it's been cool. I think all the groups have just impressed me with their progress and approach so far.
Last one, DJ.
Oh,
During
here
your
we go.
time in Miami, obviously you're a defensive coordinator.
Man, the heat's the same. I can tell you that, man. Yeah, I think again we all grow. You know, that was my first time as a coordinator, so. You know, like the question, like with Bobby, trying to help him out just as a first-time guy. Like I've been through that. You know, this is crazy for me to say this. This is my 20th year in the league, which is nuts. So you know, I feel like it's like I'm on the other end of that, where I had some veteran guys. You guys that have been around for a while. Frank Bush was working with me down there, and he was a guy that was a former coordinator that was a veteran that kind of helped me through that process. You know, so and then since Miami. You know, I've been in a couple different systems. I was obviously up with Coach Sala and that crew, and then with VJ last year in Arizona. So, like, just adding more things and just kind of just trying to grow as a coach and get better. So I feel like I'll try to take advantage of those things. It's been sad. My family's back there. I've had, you know, this is 4 teams since then. It's been a lot of moving around, which is frustrating. But I try to take something from every place I've been and kind of add it to what I'm bringing to the table at the next place. So hopefully some of that experience helps.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool. All right, fellas.
Slow, what's up next?
Huh?
These summer adventures.
I went scuba.